Hey guys, welcome to my channel. This is Victoria, your daily fash. I'm not going to bore you with introduction because we are still about to do that. But before we get into today's video is actually a very special one to me because I had a very interesting conversation with a really close friend of mine here in the UK, and she was talking about her relationship, how she met her husband, how she found God through an ex. It's just a lot of gist, guys, and trust me, you're going to really love this one. But before we get into that, I just quickly want to introduce you guys, especially for you guys who do not know already, in case you're new here, to Lemfi. Yes, if you're a resident in the United States or in Canada or in the United Kingdom, Lemfi is the most reliable app that you can use to send monies to your friends, to your families that are living in African countries, especially countries like Nigeria, Kenya, Senegal, Ivory Coast, Cameroon, Benin, Tanzania, Uganda, and Rwanda. Yes, if you have families and friends in these countries and you like to send monies to them, Lemfi is the most reliable app that you can use. The money gets to them instantly and you get to enjoy the best exchange rate in the market. Sending monies from Lemfi or on the Lemfi app is very easy. It's literally straightforward. You can connect your card, connect your bank account, and send money directly, and it goes straight into the person's account. Now, to get started, you can use the link in the description box to download Lemfi. Alternatively, if you already have the app, just use the code you can see below, FASHFAM, for your very first transaction on the Lemfi app, and you'll get a £15 cashback. And also, if you're living in Canada or in the United States, you get a $30 cashback. So guys, use the link below and also use the code FASHFAM to download Lemfi today. Okay, all right, let us get into today's very interesting videos, guys. I'll see you guys at the end. Okay, bye. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. See this girl that's standing here like she's one gentle girl. It's a lie. Everything is Lori Raw. I am so excited. Thank you guys so very much for being here. If it's your first time seeing this face on this channel, please don't make it your last. Please subscribe to this channel, leave a like, leave a comment, okay? But you're highly welcome. And today I have I have a very troublesome person on this channel. On my channel today. If you guys follow me on by the way, if you're not following me on Instagram, you're missing a lot. I post a few things on my Instagram stories, and most of you must know Akuna from my Instagram stories. But anyways, I'm going to let her introduce herself. Okay? Yes, ma.
Hi everyone, I'm Akuna.
Is that all there is to you?
Yeah.
Anyways, I have my friend here. Her name is Akuna, and she's one of my really good friend here in the UK. So today I'll be asking her a few questions about relationship, journey into marriage. She'll be telling you how long she's been married for and a lot of those things, right? So today we are going to gist. Akuna is a very spiritual person, and yeah, I would not she's one of those people that I look up to spiritually. She's
Victoria,
there.
please.
I'm trying to catch up.
Don't listen to her, no.
I'm telling you the truth. I'm trying to catch up with her where she is, and for the few we've known ourselves now for how long now? I think I joined the church in went to MJC in February. I think February. MJC was May now. Yes, I joined in March thereabouts. Yes, March, because March. And then since then we just kind of, I don't know, God just kind of did this thing. And she's one of the people that I'm really blessed to have in my life. And so when I'm in our house right now. When I came to visit, my husband said that when I go, we're going to do a video together. It didn't even occur to me. I'm like, what are you talking about? No, we are not. And I didn't know when I sent her that, listen, we are going to do a video together. And because I know she has a lot to offer. So, let's first, talk about, before we get into, your faith journey and all of that, let's talk about singleness, right? Your time of before marriage, singleness and all. How was that like for you? Were you one of those people that were like looking forward to marriage, or was that never like a thing for you?
Well, my journey as being single is different. I'll focus on the part as a Christian.
Why? You don't want us to see your
You say, wait, you're the one. I should pay you see this girl. You're the one that said that we should focus on this part first, and then we'll get there.
Okay.
I always
no. Let's start from the very pepe. From the very beginning.
Okay. I'll just talk a bit about that one. Um, my relationship life before I was a Christian was here and there. I I feel like it was more about physical attraction. So you meet a person, you like how they look, you like how they talk. You know, it's
What was
all
your ideal man like?
tall,
Dark and
definitely
handsome.
not dark, but I love fair men. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Well, yeah, tall, fair, knows what he's doing, smart, things like that.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I sort of met a lot of people like that, and because that's your weakness, it's like sometimes there is no concrete reason being with this person except for just liking how they look. And a lot of times, I always say that marriage is not an emotional decision. So, a lot of times the people we dated were, emotional. We didn't give ourselves enough time to find out about them, also because of the kind of priorities that we had. We're not Christians, or I wasn't Christian anyway. Well, I was at the point, well, before then I was Christian, but not in the real sense of Christianity. It was like flexible Christianity. Oh, God is yeah, God, yeah,
God
yeah,
exists.
yeah, God, yeah, what's up, yeah, and things like that. But then it got to a point where I was actually agnostic, and
What do you mean agnostic for those who don't understand?
like for somebody
People
who,
like us that don't speak English,
yeah, yeah, that's very necessary to be called out, because Victoria's English is very
She
good.
says I don't speak English well. You guys. Okay.
It's people who believe in, the universe, or something like a supreme being, but not necessarily a god that currently exists, either the Christian or Buddhist god, whatever that looks like. It's just they believe that something great exists. The
Something
world had to
bigger
have
than
come
them.
somehow, but not in the way that people are doing, and not that the God wants us to do some of the things that we're doing.
Were you
Things like
always
that.
like that, or
No, I was like that. I think you, when you don't know God, there are like things that happen, you doubt, but there is that fear when you start asking questions, and your parents will just be like, "Don't let the devil use you." Or, "Don't let-" So all of those blank holes.
Yeah.
You may not know, but if you're not feeding them with accurate knowledge, it's creating a gap, it's creating a large question mark in your heart. And if it's not answered, eventually it starts to fill up itself with the wrong answers.
so you were born into a Christian home?
I was, yes.
Okay. So when did this questions thing started? When did it start?
I think as long as I knew that I started to have a bit of sense.
Like teenage years or something?
Yes, because again, the Christianity in Nigeria, a large part of it is needing something, is transacting. So I want to pass exam. Then I was in Unilag, and to pass an exam, you at the time used to be MFM. We'll go to, because we felt like we were real prayer warriors. So we'll go and stand at amphitheater and pray those 2 weeks, before, during prayers, just believing that God will answer us. Excuse me for that period. But after that, bye bye to God, to the next exam. I think where it really started to sink for me was when I moved over to the UK, and I realized that we didn't need to pray so much to travel from point A to point B, and that used to be a serious prayer point. And things just started becoming easier. I knew that if I needed money, I just needed to work. Not as if I wasn't working in Nigeria or stuff like that, but it's not so difficult. The hustling itself is more difficult than it is in Nigeria, because in Nigeria you're with your home people or family, so you cannot go hungry.
Definitely.
But here you
can't be
can go
homeless.
hungry and you can be homeless. So
So then how did your relationship with God fill that void? How was relationship like then after God?
after God, oh, okay.
How
So
did you even come to God, first of all?
well, it's a very funny story actually. I was dating somebody, and I like to think that when we initially had conversations, I was pretty honest about, I'm agnostic. I have nothing to do with Christianity, but I don't have a problem if you are. The relationship was okay here and there, and then months down, I think he started having issues with it, because I was thinking of settling, and he was I think he still had cold feet.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to just date for dating's sake. I'm like, if you know this is me, you know, this, like, that's that. Except you have other thoughts. Maybe he did, maybe I wasn't sensitive to it enough, that's fine. But he didn't share them anyway. But
so he didn't want to settle down.
Yeah, I mean, that was...
Or he had cold feet because of your faith and
Yeah,
he wasn't
yeah,
sure.
exactly. So that was eventually the problem.
Okay.
He had a good home example from his dad and his mom, who had a faith-based relationship, and he wanted to replicate that. And I'm like, why did you ever date me? Like, why did you ever date me? Like, you knew what I was. I wasn't gonna change. Like, I was confident about why I was on that stance. So it wasn't going to change. So we had a few conversations here and there, and I mean, he said something thought-provoking to me. He did say it's not like he hadn't dated other people who were Christians, and you know, he would date, even when he dated them, they would pray and still have sex in that room. And for me, being agnostic at the time, I was like, how different are we right now? Are you just okay with me say I'm Christian, but then I don't act it? You know, I feel there's no difference with a flexible Christian and an agnostic person. If you're a Christian, you're living like one to the T. He said he was Christian, but we were doing a lot of things together. So obviously he wasn't. Maybe the Holy Spirit was purging him at the time, so he was having a lot of guilty conscience around it. But I still think today that if I said, oh yeah, I'm Christian, that would have helped with the title, but not with the heart, like not with the actual action, because you have to be something to want it. And at that time he wasn't. So I wasn't in the wrong, but I think that was just a personal situation for him. And when he left, I liked him a lot to say, okay, this is gone, and this is not because of him. And give myself another try to see why like, just to get more evidence to validate why to not still believe or if to believe. And that was the time when he had gone. And I decided to do that on my own, and I started doing that deep dive back into it, reading books, doing studies and all of that. And I remember it was the 25th of February last year. Yes, it was the 25th of February last year that I was reading this book, and I got to this point where I can't remember what it was, but it was an evidence, and when I googled it, it was real, like a proper evidence that Jesus existed. And you know, a way to find out if a person really existed are the other people that existed in that time, and they did, and people found it too. People who were just natural archaeologists, were not looking for anything, Christ, like just finding things out. And I said, deal. And that night I just stood up and I said, God, I'm sorry, have mercy on me. I don't even know, honestly, I don't know what I said, but it was in the middle of the night, and I just said that. And after I did, I don't know, really, I can't remember how everything just went flips like this. And God blessed me with good housemates. Like, they're really good. I really love them. And one of them had a dream earlier, and the Lord said, Akuna is going to, I'll just keep that out. Yeah, but she had gotten the nudge that
you're going to convert.
Yes, that I was going to. And at the time she knew I was agnostic, so she didn't tell me, because she had told me to have been a little boo. Well, she didn't tell me. So it was when I converted that she told me, see what I wrote at the date. She even sent me a screenshot of the time she wrote it. And I think, like, after I did, I think naturally I felt like, oh, now I am. Is it possible we go back together? And when I spoke to him, he said something like he's not feeling it or something. I can't remember how he said, but it was like he needed to still be in a place of consecration, you know, because he had work to do on himself as well. And that was how he put it to me at the time. And when he did that, I said, no problem. But we talked about a lot of things. But I don't know what happened. But I can't remember what happened. But I think he was leading me on wrongly. And I remember clearly that day that I spoke to him, and I think it was leading me wrongly, and he started to feel ill and stuff like that. And when that was shot, like I was struggling because I felt betrayed, I felt hurt, and I had just literally given my life to Christ. So at that point I was struggling with a lot of things, and I feel like God wanted to separate me from that situation. Because you would feel that, oh, this person was instrumental in you coming back to God, so you feel like that's a perfect fairy tale story, right? But that wasn't it. And I remember having a dream, and the Lord revealed to me the parts of this person that he wasn't showing, and the things that were actually happening, in the rooms that I wasn't with this person. And that was all I needed to move on, to know that this person doesn't really have my back, and they were not for me. And I held on to that because I felt, for God to have shown me this dream to help me move on, because he saw how I was
struggling.
Yeah, to help me move on from it. I held on to it, and I was like, oh, God is interested in certain aspects of your life. So at that time, there was like a full consecration for me, and he started to make me focus on only him. And those were the points where my hard girl began. because I went from the Akuna who always wants to be with people, always wants to have a conversation with this person, that person, didn't really like staying alone too much. I went from that to becoming very satisfied with Jesus alone. And he led me to a fast almost immediately. So I was just coming inside, just say, well done, man, going to a fast. So it was like a full month fast, and I was happy. When you give your life to Christ first, you are on fire, like on fire. You want to pray all the prayer, you want to hear all the sermon, you're just really on fire for God. You're like, God, anything I'll do for you. And I think at that time, God wanted to really separate me.
And this was last year?
Yeah, this was last year. He wanted to really, really separate me. So from that time, February 25th, till towards the end of the year, I was focused on God alone, and it became okay. And that wasn't who I was before God.
You needed validation from people before.
Now, as long as God tells me I love it was more than enough. I've kept it pushing.
That's the beautiful thing about, and that's one of the things that I keep arguing sometimes. Maybe not argue, but I struggle with people who talk about, oh, it's the heart that matters. Once God has saved me, Christ has died for me, that's all that matters. But the thing is, even though those that say that God is a friend of a sinner, God does not really judge and all of that. But the point is, you cannot be with God and be the same. There is no sinner. Even what's his name? What's that short guy's name in the Bible? Not Bartimaeus. The short guy. What's the name of the short guy? You guys put it in the comment section. The one that had to climb the sycamore tree to see Jesus. And when he saw him, and he was a tax collector, and Jesus said, I'm coming to your house today. And he went to the house of the man, and he heard, and he was drinking with him. And the Pharisees were like, he's drinking with a sinner. And he said, it's only the sick that needs doctor. But you see, it convicted him to the point where he started to say, you know what, if I've cheated anybody, I'm returning, I'm giving my things to the poor. That is what an experience with Jesus is. You cannot claim you've had an experience with Jesus if you are still comfortable living your old life. I remember when I gave my life to Christ pretty early, and it was just a thing of disobedience, or having some kind of friends around that did not. I started to feel uncomfortable being around certain people. I started to, when my mom asked me to do something and I don't want to do it, there's this thing in my head. Having an experience with Jesus convicts you, it changes you. So you cannot give your life to Jesus yesterday and today we cannot see the difference. It wasn't Jesus. It's maybe somebody bad Jesus. It wasn't Jesus. So then with all those experience, getting to know God and all, and then meeting your husband, like how did that journey go? And then comparing that to what you had previously.
So I was in this prayer group with my friend, and I think it got to a day, my friend was like, because we're all girls, and we talked about marriage. And the Lord said to all of us to put down the time that we wanted to be married. And I put down, I think that was in April. I put down either March, April, but I said not more than this time next year, which is this year. And everybody prayed, we all prayed over it and just believed God for it. So when you've prayed a prayer like that, God has a sense of humor, honestly. When you pray a prayer like that, you start unknowingly seeking out
answers.
Seeking out the men them.
Now they are the answers.
And I started talking to someone who I really liked. I have to say that I really liked. And I knew it was not a fake like this time. But maybe there was a bit of fakeness in it because, well, it did look beautiful but but I liked him, but I thought like that it was magical, like because I've said it's, you know, the first person that comes, Fiam, that's the person. And we started talking, and I was thinking, okay, is this the person, is this not the person, things like that. And I can't remember, but the girl who my housemate, who I said, you know, she knew, but she didn't tell me. She didn't feel led to tell me. And what she got was that God wants to build my discernment. And when we kept talking, I don't even know what was happening, but I remember it was a statement he made. He had been doing everything okay, but there were bips and bops here where he would say some things, and I'll be like, okay. And I'll question back again, and he's like, did I hear that right? You know, so it was really laggy emotionally for me. But he made just one single statement, and that was where I knew that this is not the person. And I'm not going to say it, but it's such a small thing, but it's amazing how God can use even the smallest thing to show you if you are listening. And it was such a small thing, and I said, you know what, you're beautiful, you are tall, but you are not the one. It was okay. But you are not the one. And I think that was like, you know, that was just it for me. And when it was done, I told her, and she was like, yeah, she already knew, she was just waiting for me, and things like that. So from him, I don't think I really met anybody that I vibed with again like that. And to be fair, it was okay, because, you know, I told you I had already become comfortable with God. I did want it, but it wasn't like a do or die affair.
Like,
it was prayed for. It was prayed for. I mean, God told me a lot about who my husband would be, what he would be, what he has done with him, and things like that. It was prayed for. It was an intentional wish and desire, but it wasn't like, if I don't get it, I'll die. Right? So I met a few people, and they're all Christians, but I didn't vibe with them. In fact, this one person, you know that prayer they say, any go and pray, God, if this person is not the one for me, do like this. If it works, die. Because I spoke to this person, and I felt led to pray about it, and I said, and it was supposed to be a 3 days prayer. I said, God, if it's not the person, because I was already said like this person, I said, God, Holy Ghost, if it's not the person, then just scatter it, Baba. The prayer did not even land that day. That everything just scattered. I said, I accept what has happened. But then that was how I met my husband. And he and I had been friends on Twitter for years. But I think in the first year, maybe it was 2018-ish. But it was not that deep. Maybe we just chatted and then into the WhatsApp, but maybe just liked each other. But it was not like super, super deep. It was okay. And we just, if he's the one anyway, because he checks so consistently. But me, I was dating different people. I've been enjoying my own life. So what happened was, somebody reached out to me, a lady. She reached out to me complaining about him. And me and him, I don't think we have spoken that year. And I was like, God, oh, these people put me inside, you know.
Complaining about him.
Yeah.
Like, were they dating?
They were not dating.
Okay.
But they had something putting them together.
Okay.
And because of that,
she was coming to you for relationship advice.
It wasn't even relationship advice. It's like, go and warn him. Because I'm seeing in his Twitter that you are the only one he speaks to. I'm like, girl, he doesn't even know.
Were you guys that close?
No, I said we've not spoken that year. Like, I'm like, girl, you've got the wrong girl. we don't even talk. And there's several other girls, you know, on this thing. Why me? Why do you have to meet me for it? And she did anyway. And when she told me that, I felt shocked. I was like, God, which type of wala is this one? And I went to prayer, and the Lord just gave me a word, and he said, like, I felt led to do it. So I told her, no problem, I'll talk to him. She said, no problem. And she had already told me all the bad things about him, just a few touch points. So I reached out to him. I said, Uncle Wale, there's problem. He said, what's that? I said, can I call you on WhatsApp? I said, Baba was happy. He think I want to toast him. He think that I want to toast him, but he didn't knew. And when if you see how fast he responded, fa. I said, "To," and you know,
I need to do a video of the top. Honestly, I need to hear his side of the story.
And he said, okay, no problem, we should talk. So I said, can I call you? Because I didn't know how I was gonna text it. So I called him and I told him everything, and he said, I'm not happy you found out this way, but no problem, I'll handle it. I'll speak to her. And typically you would expect that he would, you know, start saying, she did this too, she did that too. He didn't say nothing. he just kept me. He said, no problem, I'm not happy you found out this way, but thank you for telling me. I will speak to her. So I went back to her and I said, he said he will speak to you. So maybe a week later, I asked her, has he spoken to you? Now she said, yes, thank you. No problem. I kept it pushing. So, after 3 years, somehow, the conversation has now moved from Twitter to WhatsApp because of somebody else. Because of somebody else. But we still were not chatting for at least a month. So I think he will now post a few, I'll laugh, all of those bands. And then sometime in August, we now started talking more often. Why? I don't even know. Because the conversation no day was good. We started talking more often. And it's just, my husband plays a lot. You might not know because when you see him, he looks quiet, but it's all a facade.
So Wale is a quiet man.
It's not. So he plays a lot. And, we always play and things like that. And just chat. Honestly, if they told me I was even going to date him, I would not have even believed safe. Because it was just like natural, like it was just friendship. And from talking, it was like, I can't remember what he did, but I know he said something that I can't remember what he said now, but I started then. And the moment he said it, I knew that this person, because it did something, like it brought shivers to me. Even though I was already like this hard girl at the time, but it brought shivers in that time. And when he said it, it felt nice to hear it. So we just kept talking about a lot of things, and I didn't like a lot of things about him, which is the amazing thing. But all the people that I like,
you mean physically now?
No, not physically. My husband is very fine.
Yeah.
It's not physical.
No, like your worldly. What I meant is your worldly.
To be honest, that was a struggle. No, I'm going to be honest. Like, to be honest, it was a struggle because obviously I'm coming from somewhere. It's not because I gave my life to Christ does not mean that I don't like whoosh. They just wash it away. Like, it's not going to be that way. It's something you have to work.
Yeah.
And the word the Lord gave me was, I'm going to increase your standards. I'm going to change what you think you know about relationships. So at the time I met my husband, it wasn't about what he looked like physically, even though at a point, even in the beginning, it worried me, right? Because I felt he was too thin. I wanted him to add weight. Let him not think that I'm suffering you. But but aside that, obviously, my husband is very down to it. And I know I will kill when he sees this. But it wasn't like
I'm just getting the joke.
But it wasn't like,
because he's actually like very down to earth, like in his heart, like he's quite humble. So that was the interpretation in my mind until you started laughing. He's actually a really cool guy. Like, it's really like, I just like him. He has a really cool personality.
So he's that, but I don't think, to be honest, it was a problem in the beginning for me, but I think it was just like God was just teaching me something, and he now gave, and God is very intentional.
I'm thinking of a topic that would have talked about if we hadn't talked about all of this, which I love this conversation, like about standards, especially when it comes to choosing. Maybe we'll still talk about that in another video. Especially when it comes to choosing your life partner, like where did those because I also had the same struggle when I met my husband, right? And anyways, go ahead.
So because God gave me a vision about the person, the ideal person I wanted. And in that vision, I saw this person, and I saw, like, if I marry this person, this is what your life will be like. But then God started teaching me about this man that he gave me and all the things about him. And sometimes the truth is, I'm not here to flutter anybody. You may not feel it in the beginning.
I've said that several times on this
most
channel.
often the person you marry and fall in love with, that is who God gave you. It might not be butterflies.
Like that. You won't even feel the butterflies.
It might not. Even flour, nothing will be in your stomach.
Most times
you will just have doubts. Especially when it's not a decision you made by yourself. Because if it's a fleshly decision, you will be sure. Like this, why? Because you are looking at it. But as Christians, we don't walk by sight.
We walk by faith.
So I should you have to be looking at the future that God has promised you. And it's not the easiest, especially when you are led by God. Just know that your decisions are not going to be yours.
Absolutely.
And so it's not always going to be the like that is lost.
Yeah, most times.
Marriage with God is informed. Like, do this. You have clear mind. Your head is, you are seeing clearly, die. Nothing like you are falling over head over heels. Nothing like that. You know what you are doing, right? And the person you love the most is still God.
Yeah.
So when it happened, I knew that God wanted us to be together because I asked him and he gave me a few. But the future that God is telling me about is still something that is in the front. And I had to struggle with dropping the world, to really like live out of the world. And I started sitting down. Why do you like tall people? Why do you like fair people? Why do you like all this? Why? Because if you look back in your past, the people you have liked that you have gone with, did they make your life better or did it get worse? So he's just teaching you all these things. Like, do you want what you think like is good for you or what's actually good for you? Do you not think that I know what's good for you, what's best for you, and things like that? So it's just that willingness to trust God. And I'm not saying you will hate this person or you won't have an atom of like for them. That's a lie. And we had good conversations, and I just think our journey was a lot different because he's I'm thinking if I should say this or not, that I'm trying to get I'm trying to search the spirits. But yeah, I think that like our journey was super different because for us, it's like my husband has been a godly man from the beginning. I haven't always been. So in terms of exposure, I'm there and he's with God chilling. And it was a lot to not expect worldliness in dating and some level of worldliness even in marriage, which meant that you have to learn how to court, and you have to pay attention to the things that now matter. So from relationship, I'm not confused by sex or dates or things like that. Not to say like dates are bad or stuff like that. That's not what I'm talking about. But now it was long distance, so it was more conversations, intentional conversations, finding out who he is, what he's gonna do in this situation. Even before he and I dated, he had to pray, and he was willing. And I think one day I was having a conversation with a friend, and I told her, she was like, "Oh, you tell God everything you want in the man." I said, "My dear, God has already said it's Jonathan you're going to be with. If you like, tell him everything you want from next year. He'll give you Jonathan."
It's about what he wants, what's best for you, what he knows is best for you.
Yeah, and I told her my simple prayer is, God, give me a man that is teachable, because everything else you can pray for a man that is loving today, and there are boxes you have not seen that love does not cover. And it's good to do life with somebody that hears from God, is led by God, is teachable, always willing to learn, always willing to help. And as the days go by, I understand now, based on who I am and what I am for God, why God gave me this man. And there was a time we fought one time, and I was like, I'm not even doing it again. I'm done. The dream God gave me. He said, don't ever say that again. But it's good that we haven't met each other for so long, but
so that's the other thing.
We haven't
You guys dated for how long?
What, just 2 months. Like,
you dated for 2 months?
We started talking August, and we were engaged by November, and we're married by February this year. So it's I felt, and to be honest, we were going to
that's a topic we're going to talk about in another video, just because my camera is doing anyhow now.
And we were going to move it, but God said no, leave it on the dates, leave it on those dates and everything. So I genuinely, just getting into it now, I understand why. It's for God's purpose. It's not really it doesn't end with me. I'm only a small shikipum in the whole thing, but it's for God's purposes, and I'm yielded to that, and he's yielded to that. But there are conversations that we have and things that he says that I know that can only be from somebody that God has revealed this information to. And I just in that, I thank God for that.
So this has been deep conversation, but we have not even scratched the surface yet, because what I really wanted us to go into, God led us into another path, and I hope that this has been a blessing to you guys watching. I hope you've been able to learn a thing or two from our conversations. Many of the things she's spoken about, I've spoken about it a lot. Like, God is the heart that matters. Because we like to quote that scripture when it's between our sin. When God is saying that this person is good, you don't say it's the heart that matters.
Yeah.
You're looking at the person's physical appearance. So that's not the topic for today. But thank you so much.
Thank you for
being
having
on the
me.
channel and for sharing a little part of you.
Yeah.
Let me know, guys, from everything we've discussed, if there's any particular thing you like me and Akuna to talk about in another video. I would like to you guys leave it in the comment section, and we'll figure out some time to have that conversation. But yeah, also that dating for a short while, how that was like, getting into marriage, what effects that has in marriage. We'll be talking about that in another video.
Yeah.
But yeah, this has been really, really insightful, really deep conversation.
Thank God.
Thank you so much for opening up and sharing with us a little bit of you. Guys, please remember to like this video. But if you watched to this part, thank you so much for sticking around. And yeah, remember to like, subscribe, and to leave a comment. Until we meet again, I still remain Victoria, I Daily Fashion. I'll see you guys in the next one. Okay, have an amazing week. Bye.